What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We've got game 2 here against my man Nick. This is a very exciting match because it's against Ivankov. He's a phenomenal Ivankov player, but also I don't know this matchup very well, so it turns out to be very good. But in the bottom left here, guys, you're going to see it pop up right now, is I ended up winning the Twitter giveaway from the One Piece official Twitter account, where they were doing 1,000 winners of, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was something like the 1,000 Crew Sweepstakes. And yeah, I ended up winning it. So there was 1,000 of us that got some of these. I got a Zoro deck, which had some pretty cool cards in it. You know, some of the promo Rush Luffys, a lot of OP01 rares like Uta, Usopp, Sanji, Nami, all that good stuff. And yeah, it was just kind of neat. So I was just like, hey, you know what? I'll record a little opening before the, before the video, and then I'll put this in there just as, a little thing that, we can all check out. But had a couple of those starter deck cards in there too. It was cool to pick up some guard points and some jet pistols. Can never have too many of those because I know some friends always need them, or stuff like that. So pretty neat. But we also got one of the, I think it's 2023 promo packs, and I love this top card that I got out of it. I got the Marco, so definitely going to be swapping out one of my normal Marcos for that because I just love the artwork. It looks super cool. But yeah. And then the last part of the giveaway was this ginormous Luffy leader card. I almost kind of want to troll and just like bring this to my locals and use this as my leader because it's massive and it's so cool. I love it though. And yeah, in this matchup though, we've got started. He chose to go first and I'm going second. I think I did use Whitebeard Pirates to search out a 9-drop Newgate. And then I'm going to use Nami here, and it looks as though we brick on the Nami search, but he did get Doflamingo down pretty early, which sets up his hand pretty well. So I can start swinging if I want, and he's definitely just going to counter out because he knows what he's going to be expecting soon. But we swing for 6 here to get a 2k counter out of the way, and then we'll just go ahead and slap down Nico Robin. The tough part about this matchup is I just continue to swing, and he continues to counter out. And then eventually he's got 7-drop Ivankov. He puts that card down, and then it's just absolutely annoying to deal with him at that point. But I really like the idea of the Ivankov deck because it becomes really well thought out once you get to the point of getting ready to put down 7-drop. You've countered out with all the cards in your hand. And then but you've already set up what the top of your deck's going to look like, either using like Doflamingo or Perona or something like that. So it's pretty interesting. I personally haven't played the leader myself, so I don't know exactly the in and outs, but not too bad. Now, it was interesting that we jet pistol the Doflamingo, and he does choose to put down the Boa here. I feel like this was potentially a mistake on his part because it ends up being kind of a free card for me. I just swing with Nico Robin, and we're able to take out Boa pretty easily. But I will go 5 and KO the Boa, so it's kind of like a free card for me. And then he counters out with another one. But I'll go ahead and throw down Kingdu and swing for 5. I think I meant to swing for 5 first, but I ended up messing that up. And yeah, he's still at 5 life. He's got a lot of cards in hand. He just continues to counter out over and over and over again. It is brutal to not even whittle your opponent down just a little bit, and for him to be able to continuously draw into the cards that he needs, but also at the very end of his turn be able to draw anything that he wants, get 2 of those cards back so he can just continuously counter out. It is a extremely annoying deck to deal with. But with having Kingdu down, I feel pretty good. I wanted to get one of these 5-drop cards down that are slightly inconvenient for him. 5-drop cards, oh, we do take the life there, going down to 2 now. But he is going to throw down 5-drop Crocodile. And just pass turn, yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm just thinking, okay, any card over 4 is very inconvenient for him. because if I put down a 4-drop card, he can play Ivankov into the 6-drop Luffy, which ends up being you know, pretty much like bounce back the Marco to my hand, and then he's getting some swings through. So in this matchup, really had to play around that 6-drop Luffy, because it is a terrifying card against my deck, especially with it potentially gaining double attack as well. So yeah, we do find Radical Beam here, and oh, if you look at my hand, I got 2 5-drop Luffys, 2 Zoros, and a Radical Beam. I was like, wow, that's unfortunate. I would have liked to get those cards, but not to have all of them bottom decked. And I know that I'm going to need the Radical Beam no matter what, simply because, you know, as soon as that 6-drop comes down, it's going to be very inconvenient. But I do choose to go for 5 at life here. He will take that one, and I'll go for 7 here as well. And now, since we went for 5 and he took, going for 7 makes me feel like he probably won't counter out with 2, but he does choose to. So I was like, okay, all right, a little interesting. But now he's only got 1 card left in hand. I can play now my Marco and feel a little comfortable that he won't be able to swing through that after playing like a 6-drop Luffy or something. But I know that he did have 7-drop Ivankov in hand, and he has set up the top of his deck. I just don't know how many he's drawn into so far. It's probably like 3 of them, so I guess 2 of them being left, he could potentially just play the Ivankov and draw up to that card. But yeah, he's got some decisions to make. I think he does have 9 Dawn though, so he's got 2 to work with before playing the 7-drop. And, you know, probably wouldn't be too bad to just go 7-7 at King Do, but I think he's going to go 5 here at Nico Robin. I don't remember. I don't think he pointed, but yeah, I've got some decisions. I've got quite a lot of cards in hand because I've been taking so many of the life, but I do choose to counter out with Otama. Didn't like that too much, but now he goes 9 at King Do. And I would imagine I'm just going to block, but then, yeah, bring back Marco and get rid of like an Atmos or a King Do or something like that. Oh, I'm thinking about whether I want to let the card die or not, but I know that we do have a second Marco in hand, and oh, I do choose to let it go because I was thinking of this exact moment. Kind of weird. I feel like I should have just kept that. I feel like I should have kept that because then I could have just put down another one. But I also do have the 9-drop. I do have the 9-drop. What do you call it? Whitebeard. Although putting down 9-drop Whitebeard doesn't feel phenomenal in this position, simply because if I put that down, I'm pretty much like saying, go ahead and take my final 2 life with your 6-drop Luffy. And I'm gonna need to have 2 Marcos after that to have any preventative measure. But whittling down his board and then trying to get a life or 2 so that we can get into KO range is kind of where my thought process is. And the nice thing about the 6-drop Luffy though is that Luffy can't use his effect unless you're able to discard 2 cards from hand. So I try and think about that and I go, okay, yeah, I look at it right here and I read that you have to trash 2 cards from hand in order to get value out of that card. So I do choose to swing 1 7k swing at Crocodile, and he does counter out. Now my plan is here, I would like to get him to use that final card as well. So I probably can't go for life, but I need him to use that final card so that he won't have 2 at the start of his next turn and be able to bounce back a Marco that I'm going to put down, right? So how can I extract that the best? So I choose to go 7 here at Crocodile. I'm like, please counter, and he does. I was like, yes, sweet. All right, this is like, okay, perfect. This is the position I wanted to be in, and it kind of made putting down Marco a lot easier, because otherwise I was a little nervous that he could get pretty aggressive with the Luffy, and then next turn I would just have to slap down 2 Marcos and start getting aggressive myself. But it's just with how many cards he can put out, it's quite annoying, yeah. But I do choose to go 7 at the Crocodile and then pass with 2 active Dawn right now. He does have the 2 7K swings. We have a Marco, but he's only got 1 card in hand. He can't use the Luffy ability, which is great. Can't bounce the Marco back. And I know that he's really just, I think after the match he was telling me that he was just trying to scare me with the Luffy, but it's a very scary card. I got to play around it, especially when I'm down to 2 life already. But I'm not entirely sure where he goes with this. I think he's going 8,000 at Kingdu or something. I'm not entirely sure which one he's swinging at, but I think it's Kingdu if I'm considering countering out of it. Because if it's Zoro, I think I just let Zoro go. But I always put my card over whatever I'm countering. So just to show the video that I'm deciding on like a certain card, because I know not everybody points. Oh, he is doing 9. Okay, so it was 9 at Kingdu. All right, so now's kind of a tough choice. I have to either block with Marco or I have to use Radical Beam. 9's pretty inconvenient, especially when he has 6. He has 6 Dawn left, so that could be another Luffy, but he can't use the ability. So I would imagine it's probably a blocker or potentially just a counter card. And then, yeah, he might just swing 7. Oh, he just swings real big at Kingdu. Yeah, so we're definitely just going to have to let the Marco go. And I'll trash a 2K counter Jozu. And he does get Perona. Perona is going to set up his next couple of turns exceptionally well. It's going to allow him to get, some of that card draw that he needs after he uses his last card every turn. And yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope for him, honestly. I think he put Doflamingo down at the very bottom there, so that once he draws into that, that'll be his final, way to reset up the top of his deck and try and plan out for the future as well. But we do refresh. We've got everybody active again. I still have 9-drop that I could work with. And yeah, he was like, oh, I forgot to draw my cards. I was like, dude, it's totally cool. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh, wait, you know what? Maybe I don't swing for 7 because I realized that I was swinging because you had no cards in hand. I was like, let me just think about that again. Do I want to do 7? And yeah, I just feel like I don't truly enjoy where I'm at in a position, so I think that I can't play down 9-drop Whitebeard comfortably. I'm probably gonna have to save 4 for Marco yet again, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but I'm just gonna have to constantly put down the Marco because the Luffy is a very big threat. So I will choose to go for 11 here at Ivankov. I just want to get rid of multiple swings, so that, as much as possible, I'm kind of forcing him to try and use the Luffy if he really wants to. And he doesn't have much on board afterwards. And I will go 5. He does counter out with I believe that's a 1K counter. It might be 2. But I'll KO the Perona and swing for 5 yet again. And it's a matter of whether he yep, he's going to take that one. He doesn't counter out. Now, I know that Nick doesn't run event cards in this Ivankov deck. I'm not entirely sure if any of my Ivankov homies that are listening right now want to leave a comment down below. Do you guys use events in the deck or not? I personally don't know whether it's a good or bad thing that he doesn't. But I don't know how the deck is built, to be fair. I know he has a ton of counter cards. I think he told me that there are maybe, I think like 8 cards or something like that don't have counter. Or I could be wrong. I think it's 8 cards that don't have counter, and I want to say it's just Luffy and Ivankov, but I could be very wrong about that. I'm not entirely sure. But he does choose to go 5 here. I think he was going 5 at Zoro after he changed it up. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna let that go. But we do have a second Marco down, kind of to deal with the pressure of 6-drop Luffy. I think there was a turn earlier on, though, that 6-drop Luffy would have been really, really terrifying had he used the ability. Like, if he had just let the 7-drop Crocodile die, or not 7-drop, but 5-drop Crocodile die for that one swing and then save for 2 cards in hand, I think that we could have seen a really terrifying swing, but I know that I would have been able to get a second Marco down, and I would have had the Marco that he bounced back, so I don't know if I would have been, like, dead, per se, but I think I would have been way worse off. Like, I would have had to be very, very defensive with my life, rather than, you know, potentially generous and taking a hit. Yeah, and he does finally choose to swing with the Luffy. I was like, oh, man, all right, here we go. Now we can finally, you know, get some things done. I can finally get that off the board because that card's been really annoying. And I do choose to take the life. Oh, he swung at life here. And he uses 7-drop Ivankov to pick up a couple of other cards and do another 6-drop Luffy. Very sad. Wanted to cry myself to sleep. It hurts a little bit, you know? It really, truly does. But, yeah. We are so close to having KO right here, so I'm not sure if I have a potential for KO. He's got 2 cards in hand with 2 life left, with a lot of his cards having counter. It's kind of scary, but I think that we could just go for it, get a couple of swings in. I do a couple of 5s, a couple of 7s, and then close out with like a 9 or something like that. And so I think that's where I go here, is I choose to go 5 first. Arguably bad decision to go for Marco swing, but at the same time, I don't think at this moment I was remembering whether he ran events or not. So I chose to go 5 simply because if he runs an event that pops the card or brings it back to my hand, you know, I'd rather get the value out of just swinging with the lower cards first. And he does counter out of that. I will swing 7, yeah, and then we just go the rest on lead, and we got it. But I think this was a great match. It was a lot of fun. I think that there were probably like a couple mistakes from both of us on each side, but it really ended up being like, for me personally, it felt like a really good match on learning on how to play around the 6-drop Luffy without, you know, without realistically having the some of the cards that I wanted. Like Marco, the card I needed, right? But I didn't have maybe some of the cards I wanted to deal with the Luffy, like a Otama Jet Pistol, to have even just 2 Otamas because I had that Nico Robin on the board the entire game, you know what I mean? There were so many ways that I could have potentially gotten rid of it, but I just didn't have those cards and he wasn't swinging with it, so I really was trying to play around, you know, the behavior that he could with, you know, manipulating his hand and stuff like that in the top of his deck. But I think it turned out to be a really fun match. You guys can let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I'll be signing off now, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.